We are told the internet was a collaborative military project, but what if the blueprint was stolen? What if the man who truly envisioned a free global nervous system was erased by the very corporations that now own our data? Tonight, we exhume a digital ghost. You feel it in your thumb as you scroll in the cables beneath your feet, in the hum of server rooms you'll never see. A web that claims many parents, but only one pulse. They signed their names on white paper's patents. He scribbled in margins by the light of a single bulb. They called it security. He called it a commons. They built walls. He drew bridges. The story you know starts with budgets, acronyms, chain of command, memos. The story you were not meant to know starts with a whispered idea. Connect everyone to everything without permission. A map of minds, a nervous system for the planet. He wrote to himself on carbon copy. He mailed diagrams that never arrived. He watched prototypes appear elsewhere with different logos, different names, familiar bones. His letters were redacted, his files were misplaced, his horizon deleted. Look closer, between headlines and footnotes. Glitches, a date that shouldn't match. A test that ran before it was invented. A wire that carried more than a message. It carried a manifesto. Follow the cigarette ember across blueprints. Follow the cursor through erased archives. Follow the hum under the noise, because ghosts leave traces, and traces become trails. This is not the origin you were taught. This is the one that was taken. In 1964, while the world chased rockets, one man sketched a data web. Not a diagram for a contract, but a manifesto in grease pencil. Circles for minds, lines for trust, arrows that refuse to point only one way. Distributed, fault-tolerant, private by design, packets, not circuits. Little envelopes of thought, each with its own map, each able to find another path when a gate closed. Store and forward, error check, try again. Resilience baked into the heartbeat. He wrote it plainly. Anonymity as a right, metadata minimized, addresses obfuscated at the edges, a network that knew how to forget as much as it knew how to deliver. Privacy as architecture, not an afterthought. His aim wasn't profit, but peer-to-peer liberty. No toll booths, no switchboard priesthood, just nodes, ordinary people, speaking in fragments that only made sense at their destination. On another timeline, Paul Barron and Donald Davies became the public parallels, brilliant, documented, debated. Our man's notes prefigure them in the margins. Packetized payloads, distributed control, congestion avoidance, sketched as traffic on a night highway. He would underline one phrase over and over. No center to seize. While cameras adored the space race, his lab ran on dim bulbs and borrowed parts. Vacuum tubes hissed. A rotary switch clicked like a metronome for the future. He mapped topologies by hand. Mesh here, ring there, hybrid everywhere. If a link failed, the chalk line simply found another route. He built silence into the circuit, headers that revealed only what they must, timings jittered to blur patterns, relays that stripped fingerprints as messages hopped along. A web designed to protect its users, even from itself. And that ideal terrified the monopolies of the time, AT&T foremost. Gatekeepers thrive on gates, metered minutes, central offices, control. A network that heals around authority is a network that cannot be owned. Internal memos would later call such visions rogue, non-compliant, commercially unviable. He called them necessary. He tested them in secret. A packet left one desk at midnight and arrived at another by dawn, carrying more than bits, a promise. Distributed, fault-tolerant, private by design. The words flicker like a warning and a wish. He knew what the future would try to do to a commons, so he gave the commons teeth. Cinematic fade, glitch. Remember the term they taught you? Packets, not circuits, and the difference between a network and a nervous system. Smooth blend from the dim garage to a skyline of glass towers and flag-draped corridors. The conspiracy wasn't just about money, it was about power. In smoke-filled boardrooms, men in grey suits lean over blueprints that don't belong to them, routing tables, packet headers, topologies that refuse to kneel. Across town, a secure line clicks alive. Pentagon corridors, classified stamps thunder down onto paper. FOIA pages blacked into oblivion. Lobbyists and contractors crafted an acquisition and silencing plan. On the table, 2 columns: standardize and neutralize. Standardize. Central choke points, billable gates, compliant protocols. Neutralize. They list the outliers by code name. Chimera sits at the top. Jump cut. A hand moves a black bishop across a printed network map, severing a mesh with a single decisive tap. Cables are rerouted into locked racks. Access becomes privilege. Curiosity becomes risk. They didn't reject his work. They buried it under layers of security. Rebrand open as unvetted. Label resilience as non-compliant. Fold his packet dreams into procurement specs with just enough corrosion to make control inevitable. Archival exteriors, AT&T facades, think tank lobbies, smooth blend into a hotel suite where a quiet vote binds them together. A name is minted for the whisper that will steer a decade. The Digital Futures Initiative. Standards become handcuffs. Interoperability becomes a toll booth. Jump cut on the word, buried. Memos move like orders of battle. Grants are redirected. Review boards are stacked. A pilot gets reclassified, then disappears into a vault whose lock is a statute and whose key is never made. Low brass swells. The board clears. The chess king rests over the map's last open lane, casting a long shadow, smooth blend to darkness, where a single packet still looks for light. Cinematic fade from the chessboard shadow to a paper blizzard frozen mid-air. A heartbeat underscore starts, slow, clinical. By the 1970s, the man was a pariah. Radial blur on redactions as FOIA pages fill the frame. Names swarmed by black bars, ink spills spreading like oil. Tape stop, silence. Patent folders slam shut, stamped assigned. A vault door rolls, swallowing metal drawers whole. His patents were bought for pennies and locked in vaults. Microfilm reels clip, frames cut out, leader tape flutters. Reverse whoosh into a press conference, newspapers praising corporate-friendly faces as innovators. Smiling portraits above headlines that rewrite the origin myth. His name vanished, replaced by a narrative of corporate innovation. Jump cut, a prototype on a bench. Accidentally swept to the floor. Glass fractures, circuits splay like veins. A memo overlays. Funding withdrawn. Program reclassified. Staff reassigned. Cinematic fade to a corridor of closed doors. Key cards beep red. A lone figure walks into fog. The camera stays. The footsteps fade. Lobby directories blink. His listing winks out. Referenced letters dissolve into boilerplate. Conference agendas scroll. His talk postponed, then removed for time. Tape stop. Whispered phone calls over a waveform. Non-compliant. Unvetted. Not aligned. Review boards shuffle papers. A rubber stamp hammers. Denied. Names are redacted. Ideas are repackaged. Internal slides redraw his diagrams with new logos, new legends, the same arteries. When the World Wide Web emerged, it was a sanitized, trackable version of his dream. Reverse whoosh into a glowing grid. Logins, cookies, checkpoints, toll booths where gateways should have been. The heartbeat grows louder, then steadies. A wall of headlines, standardization triumphant, interoperability monetized. The Digital Futures Initiative seal flickers behind glass. Cinematic unfade to filing cabinets sunk in concrete. A final folder labeled Chimera slides into a drawer. The handle clicks. Darkness. A single packet glows, hesitates at a locked node and roots around, weak, persistent, alive. The heartbeat recedes, silence returns. The internet we use today is a gilded cage, but deep in its architecture, his ghost remains. In server rooms, in living rooms, in basements, in battered classrooms, a quiet resistance continues. Hackers, librarians, whistleblowers, coders, stitching mesh links, drafting open protocols, routing onions through the dark to keep a single light alive. You can see it in code comments no one reads, in decentralized handshakes that don't ask permission, in peers discovering peers again and again, like a heartbeat that refuses to stop. This is the hidden lineage of Elias Vance, the fork instead of the gate, the swarm instead of the silo. Every node you run, every open tool you choose, every encrypted message you send is a vote for the world he sketched in graphite and solder. Run a relay, host a mirror, teach someone to encrypt, demand interoperability, preserve the archive, cite the sources they buried. Tell this story. The man who invented the internet may be forgotten. His vision of a free world waits to be unlocked. The original diagram, cleaned, glowing, becomes a living map of today's networks. The lines are the same, only the names were changed. Look for the hidden code and help exhume the truth. In the digital age, we believe history is immutable, recorded in endless streams of data, forever accessible. We celebrate the pioneers of our connected world, the Berners-Lees, the Cerfs, the Kahns, names etched into the silicon bedrock of the 21st century. We are told a clear, linear story of how the internet came to be, a story of government projects, academic collaboration, and eventual commercial triumph. It is a story that is clean, logical, and almost entirely incomplete. Because before the world knew www or broadband, before the first dot-com boom and bust, one brilliant mind conceived of it all, not as a tool for commerce or a weapon of the state, but as something far more revolutionary. A global free exchange of information, a true democratization of knowledge. His name was Elias Vance, and if you've never heard of him, that is by design. He is the digital ghost in the machine, a phantom architect whose blueprints were deemed too dangerous to exist. His vision was not just of a network, but of a new human consciousness, an open lattice of minds speaking freely across every border, unburdened by censorship or control. An invention so profound it was a revolution waiting to happen. For decades, his story has been buried, his name erased, his work systematically relegated to the footnotes of history. But fragments of the truth remain, scattered in declassified documents, whispered in interviews with retired engineers, and hidden within the very architecture of the web he foresaw. This is the story of the man who truly invented the internet, and the powerful forces that conspired to bury him. The official narrative was authored, the true pioneer deleted, but the truth, like all great discoveries, cannot be permanently suppressed. Now the true father of the internet and the conspiracy that buried him are about to come into view, the late 1960s. While the world watched men walk on the moon, a different kind of pioneer was working in near-total obscurity. Elias Vance was not a government scientist or a corporate researcher. He was a polymath, a philosopher with a soldering iron operating out of a converted garage in the quiet suburbs of Northern California. His laboratory was a chaotic cathedral of wires, oscilloscopes, and salvaged military hardware. Friends and the few colleagues who understood his work described him as a man possessed by a singular, magnificent obsession. He wasn't just trying to connect two computers. He was trying to connect all of humanity. His notebooks from the era are a breathtaking fusion of electrical engineering and radical social theory. He writes of decentralized consciousness and a frictionless exchange of ideas. He wasn't building a machine, he was architecting a new society. His breakthrough, which he codenamed Project Chimera, was a protocol that allowed disparate computer systems to communicate without a central hub. Unlike the hierarchical ARPANET being developed by the military, Vance's network was organic, resilient, and fundamentally democratic. If one node was removed, the network would simply heal itself, routing information around the damage. It was designed to be uncontrollable. This is the Chimera box, the only known surviving prototype. We had it analyzed by leading hardware historians. Its design is decades ahead of its time, incorporating principles of packet switching and dynamic routing that the mainstream would only adopt years later. But it was the philosophy embedded in the hardware that was truly revolutionary. Vance envisioned a world where every user was also a publisher, where information flowed as freely as conversation, unmediated by corporations or governments. A global library, a planetary town square, open to all. It was a utopian dream, rendered in silicon and solder. He secured a small private grant in 1971, allowing him to build a handful of these devices. He distributed them to a small circle of trusted academics and fellow thinkers, creating a tiny secret internet that spanned from California to Cambridge, Massachusetts. For a brief shining moment, Vance's vision was real. Users exchanged poetry, debated philosophy, and shared scientific data on a network that was, for all intents and purposes, invisible to the outside world. He had proven it was possible, and in doing so, he had signed his own death warrant. Because in the shadows, giants were stirring. Giants who saw the future not as a commons, but as a commodity. While Elias Vance dreamed of a free and open digital frontier, the titans of telecommunications and technology saw something else entirely. The largest, most valuable, and most controllable marketplace in human history. But there was a problem. Their business models, selling access, controlling infrastructure, metering data, were fundamentally incompatible with Vance's vision. An open, decentralized, and free network was not just a rival product, it was an existential threat. Our investigation has unearthed internal memos from a consortium of powerful tech and telecom firms from the mid-1970s. They referred to independent projects like Vance's as rogue signals or informational contagions. They weren't just worried about competition, they were terrified of the precedent. If information could be free, what else could? Their entire empire was built on the principle of the gatekeeper. Vance had designed a world with no gates. A clandestine meeting was held in a New York hotel in the spring of 1975. The guest list was a who's who of corporate power. On the agenda, how to standardize the future of digital communication. Standardize was a euphemism. The real goal was to control it. They formed what they called the Digital Futures Initiative, a shadow cabinet whose purpose was to ensure that any future global network would be built on their terms, using their technology and serving their bottom line. Vance's open-source dream had to be neutralized. A free commons had to be transformed into a marketplace to be walled, priced, and patrolled. Vance, blissfully unaware, even approached some of these companies, hoping to find partners to expand his network for the public good. He was met with polite interest and non-committal smiles. But behind the scenes, a different strategy was taking shape. They didn't want to partner with him, they wanted to absorb and erase him. They saw the genius in his work, but they also saw its danger. The solution was as simple as it was ruthless: co-opt the technology and eliminate the man. The corporate shadow cabinet had made its decision. The erasure of Elias Vance was about to begin. How do you delete a person from history? In the pre-digital world, it was a grim art form, one the Digital Futures Initiative perfected. The campaign against Elias Vance was not a single, violent act, but a slow, systematic dismantling of a man's life and legacy. It was a campaign of erasure, executed with corporate precision. The first move was legal. Vance's patent applications for the Chimera Protocol were challenged by a phalanx of high-priced lawyers. They buried him in paperwork, claiming his inventions were obvious or lacked novelty, while simultaneously filing their own patents for suspiciously similar but crucially centralized technologies. His work, his patents, his very existence, it was all reframed as an inconvenient truth that needed to be managed. Next, they cut him off. The private grant that funded his work was abruptly withdrawn, the foundation citing a strategic realignment of priorities. The handful of academics who had collaborated with him suddenly fell silent. Emails, or rather their 1970s equivalent, went unanswered. Phone calls were not returned. We spoke to the son of one of Vance's colleagues, who told us his father was visited by two very polite, very persuasive gentlemen. who strongly advised him that his career would be better served by focusing on more commercially viable research. The message was clear. Association with Elias Vance was professional suicide. The final, most insidious step was the rewriting of history itself. The consortium began heavily funding university computer science departments and technical journals. Slowly, a new official narrative began to emerge. A narrative that emphasized the government's ARPANET, that celebrated corporate R&D labs, and that conveniently omitted any mention of a lone inventor in a California garage. Credit for concepts Vance had pioneered, like decentralized routing and open-source protocols, was subtly reassigned to others within the consortium's sphere of influence. His groundbreaking research was relegated to dusty archives, his name becoming a forgotten footnote. The official story was authored, and the true pioneer was buried beneath layers of sanctioned history. By the early 1980s, the erasure was complete. Elias Vance, broken and bankrupt, disappeared from public life. The man who had envisioned a global network of free minds was himself disconnected, isolated, and forgotten. The world and the internet moved on without him. Or so it seemed. The internet we have today is a direct descendant of the corporate vision that won out. It is a marvel of engineering, but it is also a fractured and commercialized space, a landscape of walled gardens, surveillance, and control. The very things Elias Vance sought to prevent. His dream of a truly open commons seems more distant than ever, and yet the ghost in the machine has never truly left. Vance's core ideas, decentralization, user empowerment, resistance to central control, have survived. They live on in the architecture of blockchain technologies, in the philosophy of the open source movement, and in the encrypted peer-to-peer networks used by activists and journalists around the world. This is the legacy of the hidden web, a technological DNA passed down from its forgotten father. Every time a user chooses an open-source alternative, every time a decentralized network is formed, a small part of Vance's original vision flickers back to life. Our investigation, pieced together from these forgotten fragments, is more than just a historical correction. It is a reminder that the future is never fixed. The battle for the soul of the internet, the one Elias Vance fought and lost, is not over. The blueprints he left behind are not just relics of a bygone era. They are a roadmap to a different kind of digital future, one that is more open, more equitable, and more free. The story of Elias Vance is a warning of how easily genius can be suppressed by power, but it is also a story of hope, a testament to the resilience of an idea. The idea that technology should serve humanity, not control it. The digital ghost has been found. His legacy is now in our hands, and the question he posed to the world half a century ago remains more urgent than ever. What kind of internet do we truly want? Thanks for watching our video. Please subscribe to our channel Blueprint Unseen for more insightful videos and intriguing content.